I'm Glenn Caballo. I live in a small Scandinavian town, and when this story began, I had a good job as a production engineer at a local branch of a big international company. Caballo is Spanish for horse. It was my great-grandfather who took that name while he was an actor and found out that his real name, Erickson, was too common to be remembered by the public. He thought that a Spanish horse name was much better for his profession. I met Caroline Stillman at a friend's wedding. Nothing happened there, but I got her phone number and she got mine. To my great surprise, she rang me a week later and invited me to dinner at her place. I accepted and went with a bottle of wine and big red rose. Her place was in good order, her cooking was great, and we had a very good time. In fact, such a good time together in her bed that I even got breakfast before going home in the morning. To my delight, she surprised me by drawing me close again shortly after our first intimate moment. That was a surprise because, in my old-fashioned Scandinavian town, it is very unusual for girls to engage in such activities on a first date. Of course, I was happy I met such a beautiful girl, and why I continued dating her and getting more great physical intimacy. After a few further dates, Caroline told me that she was in love with me and demanded me to be honest and tell her about my feelings for her. I looked straight into her eyes and told her the truth. I was in love with her too. After just 4 months, we agreed to live together in my house. A house I had been able to buy thanks to a little money from the lotto I had won. I had been lucky enough to increase that 10 times during the IT boom at the stock market. I had sold out everything when they were on top and invested all of it, and then used that as the down payment for a nice house. After moving in together, Caroline suggested a great wedding at the 10-month anniversary of our first date. That was okay with me. I even accepted her demands about separate bank accounts and let her print out very detailed conditions about who should pay what. Though it looked a bit weird, I accepted her suggestions mostly because that got my house protected as private property if we went separate ways. Some small warning bells were ringing during our time together right after she moved into my house. I was an average guy and not a skilled Casanova, and that's why I had some doubts. I was concerned that if a guy like me could get intimate with her after the first dinner date, what could a real skilled womanizer get Caroline to do? This is especially true if he met her on his natural hunting grounds, such as at conferences, company parties, or girls' nights out. Of course, I never suspected anything had happened, and soon the warning bells switched off because Caroline and I were having a good relationship. In fact, it was much better than what many of our friends had. Caroline and I promised to keep our family out of problems, and for every divorce we witnessed among our friends, we even got closer. Caroline got pregnant, and we had our daughter, Alice. However, nobody is 100% perfect forever, and that's why we got into our first serious family problem, after 8 years and 7 months together. Just as in many other relationships, it was economic matters what got Caroline and me on the warpath. Our problems began when the company where I worked moved all its production and most of the local administration to Portugal. My job and more than 600 other jobs were lost forever in our town. Of course, it was impossible to find so many new jobs in a short time in a small Scandinavian town like ours. The first 3 months as unemployed, I got my salary from the company as usual. But after that, it became hard, because now I only had my limited savings and the small monthly payments from my unemployment insurance. It was hard times, but I kept it rolling on. Caroline paid her expenses exactly due to our agreement, and to my surprise, she did not offer or showed any intentions of helping me by taking an increased share of our family expenses. Then one terrible month trouble hit the fan. We had with several unexpected problems. An expensive service for my car, both fridge and the dishwasher broke down and had to be replaced, and a high bill from my dentist. Then, worst of all, Caroline and I had agreed go to an expensive show one weekend at our capital city, along with Melanie and Tom, old friends of Caroline. Without talking with me, Tom had bought tickets, express train tickets, and booked rooms at a 5-star hotel for the 4 of us. I knew for sure that my economy was down to zero, and that even a small loan from my relatives would be necessary to pay all my bills. I had no interest in using any loan to go to a five-star hotel and a damn show. Neither did I want to use any part of my last reserve, shares in a profitable company, that I intended to save for more important matters if my house got in real trouble. For very simple reasons, I had no options and couldn't afford to go to that show. I told Caroline that I couldn't afford that trip and why we had to skip it. She got furious and shouted, "Never in hell. Not my problem if you can't afford to go and have to stay home. But I want to see that show, and I'm going with Melanie and Tom, that's for sure." I had expected Caroline to offer me some economic assistance to solving my problem for the weekend trip, but as she didn't make any attempts or volunteer to do that, so I decided to swallow my pride and ask her, "You know how much I have to pay this month for all those unexpected expenses, but if you really want me to come with you to the show, could you please pay my share of the trip and I will pay some equal trip for you when I get a job again?" I asked her. Her chilly reply really surprised me. "I expected you to flip out. That's why I've already talked with Tom and he promised to sell your ticket to somebody else." "So you are going to the show without me, rather than staying at home with me or caring to help me when I have this temporary economic problem? We've turned to a very nice couple, haven't we?" "Tom says that you have still time until tomorrow to find the money. I'm sure you can fix it some way if you really want to come with me," Caroline said with a chilly voice. "Okay, I got the message that you don't care a bit about me any longer. I'll take that as your final decision about you and me not doing anything together any longer. The time has come to get our damn problems solved once for all," I said and rushed out to my car and went off. She ran after me screaming something that I didn't hear. Some distance from my house, I parked the car and tried to calm down and think about the situation. Caroline and I had been living together for little more than 9 years. We had a child together, and we had plans about getting married in a big wedding on our 10th anniversary together. Everything had been fine with Caroline and me, as long as I had my well-paying job with a good life. Probably a bit too good a life because my savings ought to have been much higher to help get past unexpected hard times, such as the present. What hit me hardest was that now when I had some temporary economic problems, it was obvious I wasn't worth a bit in Caroline's opinion. No doubt that she nowadays only regarded me as a poor fellow who would cause economic problems for her. Even her interest in our intimate life had suffered from the present situation. To my own surprise, it took me only a few minutes to decide what I ought to do to fix Caroline's and my problems. I went to see Melanie and Tom. They seemed a bit surprised to see me, so after some polite small talk, I went straight to my errand and told Tom, "I can't afford to pay the tickets, and Caroline refuses to help me to do that, so I'm coming to you about that weekend trip. I'm going to skip both the weekend trip and dump the greedy woman that's living in my house. However, she is coming with you, but without me. By the way, she even told me you had already fixed her up with some guy as replacement for me." "Who is he?" Melanie said. "Caroline has plenty money, and I can't understand why she is doing that to you. I'm sorry that we are not able to help you in this matter because even we have many unexpected expenses after moving to this new house. Tom's old friend Michael Gilman has promised to buy your share and join us." I shouted, "That damn womanizer is courting Caroline and will have a night in a hotel room with her after some dining and lots of wine. Does Caroline know who is replacing me?" "Yes, and it was okay with her," said Tom. "Who suggested that eager flirt to be Caroline's escort? Isn't he married?" That was my next question. "He is a good guy who's got an unfair reputation. I met him by coincidence. He agreed to buy your tickets tomorrow if you hadn't done that until then, and Caroline accepted," explained Tom. "I've lost a job, but not my pride. You can bet that my economic problem is only a temporary matter, and I can promise you that our 9 years together with that now shameless woman Caroline will get a final solution this very evening. She can have her damn big wedding, but it will be without me. Be sure about that." I told them with a loud voice and saw in their faces that they had not expected me to react as hard as I did. Tom understood my anger and did attempt to calm me down by saying, No, it's not what you think. Michael and I are sharing a room and the girl's in the other room. That's the agreement. You can trust my word that nothing nasty will happen with Caroline and Michael. Do you two really regard me as an idiot who will believe such damn crap talk? Do you believe that a skilled womanizer like Michael Gilman would miss such a great opportunity to sleep with Caroline? She is angry at me because I have economic problems and that's why she prefers to go there with him. But I can promise you that I don't give a bit if my ex-romantic partner Caroline sleeps with him. She can even get further customers from the nearby busy street. I think it's high time to call Michael's wife for a friendly chat, I said before asking if they still had any cardboard boxes left from their moving to their new house. Melanie said, "Please calm down. It is not as bad as it sounds. Tom and I can swear and promise you that Caroline will not do anything stupid. Why do you need the boxes? Michael Gilman's unfaithful woman shall get out of my house. If I would accept her sleeping for a night with a womanizer without throwing her out from my house, I would be a real laughingstock among all my friends. Never in the hell, never. Can I store her belongings in your garage while you are away on the trip? Otherwise, they will be stored on your lawn," I asked. Melanie objected loudly to my intentions to kick Caroline from my house, but Tom gave me 10 folded cardboard boxes and a spare key to their garage. I got a feeling that he really enjoyed the situation. I knew that Caroline got a phone call with a report about my plans as soon as I left Melanie and Tom and expected a furious Caroline to be meeting me at the door. Instead, I found her crying at the kitchen table. As soon as she saw me, she began sobbing. I'm sorry. Please forgive me for being stupid and egoistic. I'm truly ashamed about what I said before you left. Please forgive me. Of course I understand your problems, and of course we are a family that shall fix everything together. I've already told Melanie that we are going together on that trip, and there are no need for her to worry about any payment. Tom must have been stupid when he offered your ticket to Michael, but please believe me that he wasn't my choice. Melanie and Tom didn't tell me who wanted to buy your ticket. Please believe me and forgive me. I replied, Tom told me a quite different story about the damn ticket. Feel free go to your damn show with that flirt as you really want to do, but you must be an incredible naive woman if you are thinking that you, after a few drinks, can share a bed with one of the most successful womanizers in our town during a whole night without be seduced to having romantic moments. Please save me from hearing further silly crap and lies, because I don't give a bit about what you are doing any longer. Enough is enough, and I've got enough crap from you and can't take any further. Now she began crying loudly and sobbed after a while. Please forgive me for everything what I've said and done in this matter. I love you, only you, and please come with me to that show, but if you don't go, I don't go. Hell no, I won't go to either to that damn show nor anywhere else together with your damn so-called friends, and I don't give a damn bit any longer where you are going nor with what eager womanizer. You really wanted to humiliate me among all my friends and acquaintances by spending a night with Michael Gilman. As I told Melanie and Tom, I've lost a job but not my pride. Why in the hell are you still sharing my bed if you don't care a damn bit about me and my feelings any longer? Caroline skipped the trip and stayed at home with me, but it was a chilly weekend, although she did her best to cheer me up. Later, it came to my attention that Michael Gilman had bragged to his friends that his old pal Tom had fixed him up with a great married woman. They were going to stay at a nice hotel during a weekend trip when his wife was away at a spa. Afterward, when his friends teased him for being a dreamer because the married woman didn't go and he went there with his brother instead, he got angry. Rumors said that Michael then promised his friends that he would get the last laugh and sleep with that married woman some other time instead. When I told Caroline about Michael's bragging and promises, she got a good laugh and promised me that it wouldn't happen. At least not before Sahara Desert turned to a swamp. I calmed down after a while, but I still had serious doubts about Caroline's love. She did plead with me to give her a second chance. To my surprise, she even, without any arguing, accepted my condition that Melanie and Tom should never be invited to our home and certainly not invited to our wedding and wedding reception. Less than a month after our arguing about the show trip, I got a new well-paid job, and Caroline celebrated it by inviting me to a romantic weekend trip to Paris. On good reason, she paid for everything: flights, hotel, and a great show at the Moulin Rouge. We had a good and very romantic time along with great intimate moments. Caroline pretended to be a French girl and did a lot of what they are famous for. Great trip indeed. But I had begun to get a feeling that our relationship would never be back to the level it had been before the canceled weekend trip with Melanie and Tom. Right. I was about that matter, and only a month later, Caroline gave me the next surprise. On Saturday morning, she told me that Melanie and she had agreed to go shopping in our county capital. It's about 80 kilometers from our town, and she needed our car to that trip. It would be without children. That surprised me, and I asked, "Why without children this time?" "Melanie and you are always going shopping with children, and I'm sure that Alice needs something." "Because Melanie will be buying a birthday present for Tom, and we are even going too many fashion shops during the busy day. It would be too boring for the kids." Our car was, in fact, my car because I paid for it. When I asked, "Why my car? Both Melanie and Tom have cars. Why should I pay Melanie's expenses for getting a present for her damn creepy husband? The man who did his best to set up you with his pal Michael Gilman? Because Melanie's car is out of order and Tom had some important errands to do today, and don't worry for the gasoline, we shall pay for it," she said with a snooty voice. She was slightly better dressed than usually for a shopping trip and had even little more makeup than usual. That, together with my car for Melanie's shopping, gave me a strange feeling that something could be wrong. When Caroline went to the bathroom before leaving, I got the idea for a simple trick and switched off the ring signal on Caroline's cell phone. Following Caroline to the door, I noted that she was wearing high heels. No sane woman would wear high heels during a day in an old town center with a lot of cobblestones. I gave her a hug and said, "I've got a strong feeling that something you intend to do today is really silly and wrong. I can't stop you from going to where you intend to go, but please don't put our wedding in jeopardy by dating Michael Gilman today." She got ashen gray and left without any further comment. I checked out Tom on the web and found out that his 38th birthday was 71 days ahead. Hardly any reason for a big celebration with valuable presents, I thought. Living in a small town means many advantages, but even some disadvantages. Even average people can know a lot about each other, and there are even those whose main interest is to know a lot about friends and acquaintances. After the canceled weekend trip, I began to use all available sources to find out something about Melanie, Tom, and Michael. But not Caroline, because a spouse was a limit even I understood. I knew that Michael Gilman had had his driving license canceled 3 months for speeding. Then I had even got some useful nasty gossip about Melanie that I didn't intend to spread unless Tom and she tried to ruin my relationship with Caroline. About 20 minutes after Caroline had left, I pretended that couldn't find Alice's favorite clothes that she wanted to wear to a birthday party later that day and called Melanie on her cell phone. She replied immediately. To my surprise, I could hear her daughter and Tom arguing in the background for a few seconds, and it was obvious that she rushed into another room and closed the door behind her. Now I understood that something was really wrong, and Melanie wasn't in the car because I couldn't hear Caroline's favorite music from the car stereo. It was obvious that Melanie and Caroline weren't together. However, I pretended that everything was okay and said, "Caroline's cell phone seems to be out of order for some reason. Would you please give your phone to her for a few seconds because I have a very important matter to ask her about?" "Sorry, but at this very moment we are at a gas station because Caroline got some problem with her belly and needed to go to the ladies' room, but I'll tell her to call you as soon as she's back again," Melanie told me with a slightly worried voice. No doubt that Caroline was alone or together with somebody else doing something I wasn't supposed to know, and Melanie was at her home acting as backup for her. But the switched-off cell phone had created an unexpected problem for them. It wasn't necessary to be any Einstein to guess what Caroline was into. A bet on Michael Gilman would be a low-odds game. What could Melanie do? Call Caroline without getting a reply. If Caroline was with Michael, and Melanie didn't know his number, it would take her some time get his number from Tom and call Michael. But it would be some problem for Caroline to call me in a reasonable time. Melanie did a good job, because 8 minutes later, Caroline called me. After we had cleared up my main reason to call her, I said, "Please give the phone to Melanie because I have some important things to say about Tom's gift." Now, Caroline sounded worried when she said, "She in the ladies' room at the gas station. I'll ask you to call her when she is back." What the hell are you really doing? Have you set up a camp at a damn gas station just out of the town? Aren't you going to the county capital for shopping, or have you other plans? Caroline switched off the call, and Melanie called me 5 minutes later. I told her, "It is obvious that Caroline and you are not together. Where in the hell is she? I can bet that you are at home and she is at some shabby hotel being unfaithful with that damn womanizer Michael Gilman at this very moment. If you are together with her, please give your phone to her for a few seconds. Otherwise, it is no doubt I'm right." Melanie's short reply was, "Go to hell." I didn't go there but I called her husband Tom. Melanie confessed that she is a backup for Caroline who pretends to be shopping with her, but I can bet that Caroline is with Michael Gilman at this very moment. It is high time for you to skip all nonsense and tell me the whole truth. Tom replied, "Cool down, man. Why should I care a bit about what your unfaithful wife is doing?" "Because I do care about your unfaithful wife. Ask her why Anders Jantin is bragging that he got her virgin backside 2 years ago at their union conference trip at that famous spa on the West Coast." Tom and I had not been friends since my canceled weekend trip and had not even talked since then. He had tried to set up Caroline with his friend Michael, and he was involved in Caroline's doings at the present time. In my opinion, he couldn't blame me for telling him the truth about his wife, though he refused to tell me the truth about my spouse. 10 minutes later, a furious Melanie called me and accused me of destroying her happy marriage. I told her that the only thing I had done was to get even because she had assisted Caroline in canceling my planned wedding. If she had immediately told me about Caroline and Michael during my first call to her, she would still been a happy wife. Then she shouted, "Go to hell and take your damn unfaithful woman and illegitimate child with you." That line hit me hard. Really hard indeed. I called Caroline's cell phone, and now she took the call. I asked her, "Melanie just rang me and said that Alice is an illegitimate child. Is that correct?" She must gotten a shock because she screamed, "Why did she say that to you?" "Because Michael Gilman and you have messed up even her marriage, I presume. Why don't you ask her?" A call to Michael Gilman's wife gave me his cell phone number and the information that he was playing golf. I rang the mentioned number, and when Michael replied, I told him, "Caroline Stillman's spouse is searching for you with a shotgun." Those 2 calls ought to calm down the 2 lovebirds for a while. I found a private laboratory on the web and ordered a DNA test kit. Caroline returned back home less than a half hour later and shouted at me, "Have you gone totally mad for threatening Michael Gilman with a shotgun and accusing both Melanie and me of cheating?" I told her, "Shotgun? What shotgun? I've never owned any shotgun." Tom teased me for living together with a cheating, unfaithful woman. He didn't care a bit about our relationship when he accepted that his own unfaithful wife would be a backup for you in your cheating today. He had to pay just as some holy men say, an eye for eye, a tooth for a tooth. Don't blame me. Even I'm a victim in this damn crap. Michael Gilman's wife got very angry when I told her I knew about Caroline and her husband. She said that Michael had had several chances, and now it would be an end for him. Then our neighbor, Dan Olson, who is some kind of section boss at local police, rang our doorbell and asked if he could come in for a small talk. I had no objections, and we sat down at the kitchen table. He asked me if I'd been out for hunting, and I told him the truth that I had been babysitter at home the whole morning because Caroline had our car for a shopping trip with her friend Melanie Linden. Then I said the truth again that hunting wasn't my game, and I had never owned any weapon and didn't have any plans for purchasing any either. He said he had gotten some wrong information, but we could go hunting together now and then if I would be interested. After some small talk with Caroline and Alice, he left. It was obvious that my call to Michael Gilman had scared the daylights out of him and gotten him to call the police. Dan should have been clever enough to do a discreet checking instead of sending the whole cavalry. Caroline continued nagging about why I had told Tom about Melanie's one-time fling with Anders Janten. I caught her attention and said, "You ignored my warning about your date with Michael Gilman, though you knew it would terminate our relationship. The only possible thing I can say to you is, many thanks for all the good times we shared together during our 9 years, and I'm sorry that you ended it in this dirty way. You can live in the spare room until you'll find an own apartment somewhere and feel free to be with that eager Michael Gilman as much as you want, but not in this house." She had not expected that from me and began to cry and rushed to the bedroom. After a while, when she calmed down a little, she came back and sobbed. "You can't do that to me. Please believe me, because the truth is that I've never had any intimacy with him nor anybody else than you since we met. You're overreacting without any reason to do that." "Sorry, Caroline, but I can't marry or live together with a woman I can't trust. You lied to me about your shopping with Melanie and went straight to pick up Michael Gilman in my car after I had warned you of the consequences. Both Melanie and Tom have confessed that you dated him today. Why in the hell do you keep lying about it to me?" I asked her. Still sobbing, she replied, "Please believe me. Michael is only a friend, and yes, I met him today, but I have never had intimacy with him. That's for sure. Maybe not, but only because I put a stop to the two of your attempts is all. The show trip with him was almost too weird to be a serious attempt, but today you had everything much better planned. Your minor mistakes got me convinced that shopping was not included in your intentions for the day. But the old saying says, 'The third attempt will get it.' Therefore, it is high time to skip this relationship before you get any chance to get it happening," I told her. "Please don't do that to me. I have never cheated on you and promise to be your faithful wife if you will give me a chance to show that," Caroline said. I replied, "I've regretted several times that we didn't split up when you intended going to that damn show and spending a night at a hotel with Michael Gilman. You used my temporary lack out of money as an excuse for going with him and wanted to do that for economic reasons. If you had wanted to do S, you could have afforded pay for that trip for at least 100 people without any problem. But you refused to assist the man who you claim to want to marry, although he begged you for help with his temporary problem. I gave you a second chance even though your show trip intentions with Michael still hurts, but the mess with him today was the last straw on the camel's back. I'm probably not even the father of Alice. I'm still ashamed and sorry about my actions during the time you were unemployed, and I've never complained because you refused to go that show. You are my only love since we met, and of course Alice is your daughter. A woman who loves her boyfriend and fiancé would never lie to him and book dates at 2 hotels with a womanizer like Michael Gilman. Things you've done behind my back. What about our wedding? Don't you care about what we have agreed to do? I've already booked many things," she exclaimed. "Michael Gilman will probably be dumped by his wife, so you can feel free to marry him instead of me," I told her. Caroline had messed up our big wedding plans that we had planned for our 10-year anniversary. She had already booked the church, a Rolls-Royce, and a very popular inn for the reception. It was one of the worst days in my life, and I felt like a pile of trash. My decision was made and no third chance would be given. Caroline's and my split-up was irrevocable, and nothing could stop it. So this ended a once-in-a-lifetime happy family relationship. I will never deny that it felt like hell. Caroline was a beautiful girl with many good qualities, and that's why I would miss her very much, but I couldn't take her cheating attempts. I knew that a lot of people would regard me as a jerk for not forgiving Caroline for her failed, naive attempts with Michael Gilman. But I had already forgiven her intentions for going with Michael for the weekend trip, which since then had remained as a wedge between us. A few days later, Caroline confessed what she had done with Michael Gilman, and I had been right about him. He had worked hard on her and sent a big bunch of roses to her job with a card saying he was sorry if his interest in the weekend trip had caused her any problems. A week after that, he had invited her for lunch. After that, they had lunch together once or twice a week. Of course, the lunches had began as innocent meetings with pleasant small talk, but their feelings for each other had slowly increased to some kind of sexual desire they couldn't deny or stop. One problem had been Michael's canceled driving license, and that's why it was up to Caroline to fix the car. Michael had booked room at a small hotel he had used before. Caroline said she had begun to regret the whole thing already at our door when I warned her of a canceled wedding if she dated Michael Gilman. She had told him that I suspected her of cheating with him and wanted to cancel the whole thing, but Michael, who already paid for the room, had persuaded her to go on. She did. The room wasn't ready when they came to the hotel, so they went to a cafe where they got a call from a worried Melanie who suggested her to skip it. When Caroline called me and I asked her to give the phone to Melanie, she began to fear the worst, and when she rang Melanie to get her to call me, Melanie shouted to her, "Skip the damn romantic date and go home before it is too late." She wanted to do that, but Michael had refused to go, so they began arguing until Melanie called again and told her that I had found out exactly what Caroline was doing. A furious Michael began to understand that all his plans for romantic moments were fading away. Now even Caroline had lost her temper and told him she regretted as hell having accepted that damn date with a high risk of canceling her wedding and relationship with me. Then a totally mad Melanie rang again and screamed about me crushing her marriage. My last call, with questions about whether Alice was an illegitimate child, had caused her to scream in despair and begin running to get the car. Then Michael got a call with a warning about me hunting for him with a shotgun. That call had turned him into a wreck, and he didn't dare to get back home with Caroline in her car, so he took a taxi. Now, a crying Caroline said that she would never in her remaining lifetime be able to understand why she didn't stop her stupid date when she still could save her wedding and future together with me and Alice as a family. Then the trouble really hit the fan when I got results of the DNA test that said that A and B were not relatives, but A and C were. In other words, Caroline is Alice's mother, but I'm not her father. Now I found it best to connect a lawyer before taking it with Caroline. Now, when the game was over, a shameful Caroline preferred to confess to me at home rather than at the court about how she came to be pregnant and who did it. She was off the pill when we doing our best to get her pregnant. During that time, she had been at a conference, and after a jolly party, she had spent a night together with Nicholas Albertson, a handsome married man with 3 children. Neither Caroline nor I had ever suspected that I wasn't the father of Alice. My lawyer began the long legal process to get Nicholas Albertson to pay my money back and take over the payments until Alice got 18 or 25 if she went for higher education. Shared custody for Alice was out of the question, but Caroline and I agreed that she could see me as much as she wanted and keep her room at my house. I wasn't her real dad, but I was the only dad she knew, and I would always be there for her. It wasn't Alice's fault that her mom had cheated on me. Tom had taken Melanie's cheating with hard feelings, very hard indeed. After Melanie's confession, he had gone straight to Anders Jantin and beat the daylights out of him, sending him to the hospital for a week. Because Tom's vengeance was witnessed by Jantin's wife and his 2 children, it would be very difficult for Tom to avoid spending a few months in jail. Caroline earned a new nickname, Divorce Queen, because her failed attempts of cheating on me with Michael Gilman caused 5 divorces. What, at least in our town, was the best-known top score for a failed cheating group. All these people split up. Melanie and Tom, Alice's father, Nicholas Albertson, and his wife, Melanie's conference lover, Anders Jantin, and his wife, Michael Gilman and his wife, and of course, Caroline and me. I suppose that it will be a rotten time for all involved, though time will probably sooner or later heal the wounds for all of us. After all, nowadays we are not alone with such experiences, far from that because almost half of the population has been through divorce. My family had no winner but 3 losers, and I was very sorry about the problems we had caused for Alice, who continued to spend more time with me at her old home than in Caroline's new apartment. She paid a high price for what Caroline had done. As far as I was told, Caroline was still hoping that I would forgive her and take her back. I myself didn't feel well after all the crap I'd been involved in such a short time. Losing my job, economic problems, Caroline's cheating attempts, parting from her, and the worst of all, being thrown in my face that I wasn't the father of my daughter. Though I'm getting some invitations from interested females, I have not dated any girl yet, probably because I'm still mourning my lost family, which hurts like hell. Through a lot of thinking, I still can't understand how Caroline could be so eager to get a romantic date with a such womanizer as Michael Gilman. That she, even after my serious warnings, didn't hesitate to risk and dump our wedding and everything we had together. One of the strange mysteries in this sad story is that now when both Caroline and Michael are free and living on their own, they have lost all interest in each other and have not dated at all. The only sure thing I know is that though Caroline Stillman is a lovely girl, she will never be my loving wife. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.